Hello! I'm probably gonna turn down the music. How's the volume? Testing, testing. Testing. Also, I've discovered moderator view for the channel, which is nice. It's over there. Looks much nicer than the other Twitch dashboard thingy, and now I can delete the things. It's fine? Alright, good. Alright. Damon, you out of everyone that's here, are probably wondering why I'm streaming right now. Yeah? Yeah. So, the reason is I have a hyperfixation right now. A very strong one. And literally the primary focus of my day for the past few hours has been writing uno momento. This document. Let me just make sure that I'm well positioned so I'm not blocking anything. Okay, yeah, I'm good. This document as just a hyperfixation topic about game development, because one thing I've been wanting to do for a while now is find my niche. Yes, I like Honkai Star Rail and I play it. Yes, I enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, I play it. So does everyone else that plays those games. But I need to lean more into my niche as someone that's professionally been in the video game industry. I have a game design master's. I've worked on 2 video game titles. I know kind of the ins and outs of the industry there, and I know a lot about how the inner workings are. And also just the theology is not the right word. Kind of what goes into video game creation. And the reason why this topic is in the first place in my mind is Honkai Star Rail, right? It's a free-to-play game by HoYoverse, same makers as Genshin Impact and Honkai Impact 3rd. And they've had a couple of other titles that hadn't gotten mainstream, but they're all in an interconnected universe in a way. But Honkai Star Rail, this current patch that came out literally last week, 2.2. This game's been out in a year. It's a live service, free-to-play, always updated game. It's always constantly getting story, rather than having the story all in one go. It's one of the first games that made me question, how in the world are we getting this for free? Not only have I've played through it myself, I already told you, Damon, that I played this game for 10 hours. Straight. Into the morning. The sun rose when I was done playing the story of 2.2. And then I continued after that, the day, I woke up, logged back in, continued more content. It's that hooking of a game. It's also to the point where I've the only YouTube videos mostly that I've watched. I just realized I'm floating. I know. Me the VTuber. Not me. Me the person. There we go. But this entire week, I've near exclusively only watched other people play through the exact same thing that I played through. And yes, that is literally 10 hours worth of content. Times... At this point, I've completed Mina's playthrough. Mina is a fellow VTuber. Very, very well known in the Honkai Star Rail space. Numi? I think her name is Numi. She's friends with Mina. Watched her playthrough. Watched Molly Zhang's playthrough, who she is a voice actress in the game as a character. I've watched Sayu's whole playthrough. I watched his final part last night live. and I started Dishes, and I started Jeki Kage. Or I think that's his name. So, demon girl, bluish hair, gets a little thirsty for... And friends with Bao and all of them. Yeah. And honestly, for realsies, I'm going to end up hunting down every other version of people playing this particular patch as I can, because I'm so interested in multiple layers of the conversation. I don't know her particulars. I only really have just experienced Numi. I'm actually going to enlarge this a little bit more. This opera capture. Let it fit the screen a little better. Because I don't need that. Okay. So this is going to be like a multi-part stream, because originally I was going to have all of my thoughts on this document, but I got so involved looking up information to evaluate this specific point. This is the introduction to this, let's say this is like, I'm calling it Hatty-Tangents, or Hatty-Tangents, I should, you know what, sorry, real quick, let me rename this. Hatty-Tangents. A somehow free game part 1. Okay, I renamed the stream. Yeah, same Numi? Alright, good. Cool. I don't know her from anything else that she's done, but I know her in the space. When you're also a VTuber, you tend to hear about more VTubers. But anyways. After I view more playthroughs of the 2.2 story, I'll have more in-depth info on, like, how interesting the different reactions to that story are. But you know, I was so hyper fixated on writing this document, looking up all the information that I looked up, that this will be part 1. This is discussing, overall, it's how is Honkai Star Rail a free game? This introduction segment is what I would call, and as the title says, what makes a game not feel free? So most I know about her is the loot clip info, and that she has extremely high Riz per porcelain. Oh, nice. Porcelain Maid is a good go-to for that sort of thing. Yeah, no. I mean, this is gonna be, I hope, a little interactive. Like, if we get more people interacting in chat, I don't mind. And you know, the whole reason I'm doing this today is that, guess what? I have days off, and not too terribly much that I'm waiting on needing to do. So tomorrow will be Final Fantasy XIV. So that's the thing. Leave the gacha out of it real quick. Yeah, so many gacha games do not feel free, and we'll delve more into that as I go read through the document. So, like, you know, I'll read through it. I'm gonna, like, read it, and then we can discuss further as I'm going. But we'll get there. Honkai Star Rail I talk about first. Angry Birds is a good example. That's a good example, too. Yeah, that's free-to-play with, does it have gacha? It is a good, like, free-to-play example. But we'll get into, or what was it, Regalia Lost? We'll look into more things. Alright, let's get started. So, preface, this is a thought thesis into the development of games, primarily looking at Honkai Star Rail's impact in being a free-to-play game that is such quality that it compares to paid games. Primarily. And, like, there's a lot of games that are free-to-play, that are gacha, that don't feel like they are free-to-play because of how much they have, but I feel like Honkai Star Rail's quality is up there. And that's going to be, like, part 2. Is going more into, like, the quality of their development. So, today's main topic of discussion is discussing what amounts to being a free game and comparing free games and how much you can get out of them to paid games and how much you can get out of them. Yes, Master Duel is another good example. That is Loot System Yu-Gi-Oh! It's basically a Yu-Gi-Oh! Engine. So, to better define, what would I define as a free game? One thing that I like to fall back on. I had a mentor during my master's degree. She was part of a panel that oversaw the game, all of the game related degrees at my university. They sort of oversaw, and you know, like they would put their input on, okay, this is what's happening in the game industry. You should probably we should probably change the curriculum here so that they're ready for it out there, that type of thing. And so they were there, they were walking around, and I forget if it was me or if it was someone else, but they asked, what is one of the first things you think about when you're about to develop a game? And I don't remember it verbatim, so I wrote it out like this. The first thing you should think of when developing a game commercially is the monetization. The monetization model that you decide on is the key to how your game will be developed, to how you'll decide any of the decisions. And so I'm going through the monetization options, and I have examples throughout all of this. And I'll have more examples below, but I'm defining it here. Can I have a paid example? Yes. Most of these are like full paid. So, monetization options. And this is how I categorize it. There's a lot of different names for everything, where you pay for the game, then DLC, but it's so good it doesn't matter. Hey, Teddy! Thank you for the subscription for 18 months. And Damon, don't think I forgot about you. A whole year. Hell yeah. So, the classic game. You think back to how games were originally played, not the arcade. But you buy an Atari, you buy a game console, you buy the game, there is nothing else extra. There is no connecting to the online. There is, maybe in like the PlayStation 2 era is where you started having like multiple discs to play the game. But otherwise, like, you buy the game, that is the game, you bought it. Comparatively, in kind of like the more modern day sense, is classic plus paid DLC, where the DLC comes out, it is additional content. And, you know, there is a difference between, like, paying for additional content and paying for, like, cosmetics DLC. And we'll delve more into that later. And I do, up here, this is the only time I talk about playtime in this section. We have a different section in regards to the playtime for all these games. Classic versus classic paid DLC within the same franchise, comparing the first Monster Hunter to Monster Hunter World plus Iceborne. Let me... Typos exist for a reason. So, the OG Monster Hunter, I couldn't find exact information about how much... Oh, what discussion have I walked into? Okay, so this is basically... I got inspired by how impactful Honkai Star Rail's 2.2 story is. That I originally was going to do this as one video, but I'm making it multiple parts. Kind of trying to dissect why Honkai Star Rail, and Genshin Impact similarly, are so impactful. How do they do what they do? And like the first point of interesting discussion, because personal philosophy from people that are in the game industry is, the first thing you think about in regards to games is monetization. And kind of comparing the free-to-play experience of Honkai Star Rail, and I'll get more into how it's free-to-play, compared to all of the paid games. And I go into a lot more recent examples. So right now I'm just breaking down sort of all the monetization options that exist within games in present day. The core OG monetization option is just the classic, where you buy the game, there it is, it's yours. Cool. Nothing extra. Although the modern day interpretation, I have a lot on this, too much to type. No worries. No worries. And I do talk about Final Fantasy XIV in this document. We'll get there. So, comparing OG Monster Hunter, I don't know if $25 was the original price for it back in like 2000 something, but you can get it for $25 right now. Or more, depending on like condition and stuff. It has, within its main story, about 42.5 hours of play. 300 if you want to be completionist. And yes, there's websites that have all this. But 102 hours on average for people. $25 for that. For 42 hours worth of gameplay minimum. With infinite more that you could do. $25. Compared to its not newest, but newer iteration, Monster Hunter World, which is on PS4, Xbox One, PC, with Iceborne on top. Because that is its paid DLC. That has been the modern model. While typing about the buy the game, buy the DLC game, I want to ramble about I hit the letter limit. Ha! Ah, that's funny. So, Monster Hunter World, the main story is a little bit more than OG Monster Hunter. If you're just playing the base game. And actually, they've implemented ways to make that faster. So, for Monster Hunter World, they implemented giving you a armor set and weapon set that you can carry with you throughout Monster Hunter World to get to Iceborne, to make that experience quicker. So technically, you could probably do the main story of Monster Hunter World in half that time. But full experience is still like hundreds of hours of content for playing events, playing with your friends, going on hunts. Now, right now, I also couldn't figure out how much it originally was, but the price right now for Monster Hunter World is $29.99, and it does regularly go on sale, and it has deluxe versions that are higher value. Iceborne, on top of that, adds 37 more hours of story playtime, a bunch more monsters to fight, and then, like, on top of that, even after Iceborne came out, they added so much content. You bought World for $59.99. That makes a lot more sense to me. I think that's how much it was when you initially buy it on, like, the consoles. Because it's been a while. I had to go off of... There's no good website that, like, retroactively shows you the price that a game was back then. Played for 300 hours and did not beat the game. Exactly. So, like, these are all estimations based on a website of people putting in their input on the game. So, in total, and the Iceborne, right now, at least, is $39.99. Combined, that's like $65, $66. They go on sale regularly. You can spend more money on deluxe editions or combine it with the base game, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot. Damon. The game is walkabout mini golf for Oculus and other systems. Its physics are so one-to-one, it's amazing. The graphics aren't like FF16 good, but they are fun. Main game is 15 hours. Each DLC... Oh, sorry, $15. Each DLC, $3.99. Main game gives you 8 courses and 8 hard modes of those courses. Each course has 18... lost in each hard mode, a puzzle to solve to get to a new putter. They have 18 DLC courses that also has hard mode and like 18 balls and 1 putter. Interesting. That is an interesting model, and we'll get to more cases that are closer to that. I do not know what it is about this game, but I do not mind one bit paying that $3.99 for DLC. Exactly. So, like, even though it is a paid game, and it might not be, like, as intrinsically intensive as, like, a lot of the games I have on this list, is a great example of classic game plus DLC. You enjoy the classic, so then you delve into it more. Lost Balls, since I apparently failed to clarify, it's 18 Lost Balls. Ah, okay. Got it. Interesting. So, that was just an interesting comparison of classic versus classic, like, classic old game from, like, 2005-ish. I might be saying the wrong year. Compared to modern day, 2018-ish, Monster Hunter World plus Iceborne. Now, other monetization options that exist. And a lot of these are under the free-to-play banner, but they can show up in non-free-to-play games also. The subscription model. Everyone here knows this, but this is the model that MMOs tend to use. If you wouldn't suffer the vertigo or negative effects of VR headset, I'd work towards getting you the headset so we could play. Ah, that'd be interesting, yes. Yes. So, subscription model, yeah, mostly for MMOs, usually monthly. Varies in price. $14.99 is a general look-see. Iceborne is basically a sequel. It is an addition to the game. It is more game. And we'll get into more examples of, like, how varying DLCs will be as well, with some of the examples I have. And technically, Final Fantasy XIV has DLCs. Technically. They're called expansions, but they're also DLCs. We'll get there. But yeah, subscription model, you pay monthly. Just like everything that's enjoyable in life online. Except me. Every MMO. Yeah, basically every single MMO has some variant of subscription. Now, getting into the actual free-to-play. It's free-to-play from the get-go, but generally, you can't have a free-to-play game without some variant of monetization. PSO2 doesn't. I don't know what that is. You can't abbreviate things. I don't know everything. Phantasy Star Online 2. Okay. You know what? That's true. There are some MMOs that aren't subscription-based. I'd have to look more into that. That can be its own topic for another day. I picked 2 MMOs for this discussion. Those are letters! Anyways, free to play. Ad supported is an option for free to play games. You see this a lot on web browser games, and you see this a lot on very simple mobile games. And when I say very simple, I mean like puzzle games. I'm staring at my phone right now, and I have a nonogram game that's been on my phone forever. It's the only game that works when I have no Wi-Fi. Yes, there is revenue from other sources. We'll get there. For BDO and ESO, I imagine it's all like cosmetics and and options. But we'll get there. There is a free MMO that I am going to talk about. And you guys haven't said it yet. So ad supported, the nonogram game that I have, that's just like a random one-off example. It'll have an ad as a banner all the way down to the bottom, out of the way. I barely ever click it. Sometimes I click it by accident, but it doesn't get in the way of me doing the puzzle. If I want a hint, I can watch an ad. I can choose to do that. I usually don't. And then when I finish a game of the nonogram, it also plays an ad. So, a lot of very simple puzzle games use ads for their revenue. And that's how they get their monetization. It's how it makes it free to play. Now, freemium, it's kind of more of a broad category, and honestly, all of these stem from freemium, but I made them separate for different reasons. But freemium means there are microtransactions that gain you some form of benefit. Very prolific examples of this, and Honkai Star Rail falls into the gacha category. And a little tiny bit into cosmetic, we'll get there. But gacha is Honkai Star Rail's primary monetization. By far. It is how they make the most amount of their money. For other games like Overwatch 2 or I don't know what other games have loot boxes. Original Overwatch. There are loot boxes. Oh! Right. Hang on. What game was that? Battlefront? The Star Wars one. Didn't they have loot boxes? I forgot to look up this specific information. I'm glad I'm discussing this now. But Battlefront, I want to say, had a loot box that was very frowned upon because instead of it being like cosmetic driven, it was back-breakingly mechanical, where people would hunt down, like, the people that had money to whale were doing extremely better because they were able to get better things out of the loot boxes. And that's not great. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look that up. Battlefront loot box controversy. There we go. Sorry, yeah, we're gonna go on a tangent already. A little bit one. Small one. What was the Battlefront 2 controversy? Unfortunately, decision to include loot boxes that potentially allowed players to earn powerful upgrades, which players said were pay to win, severely harmed the hype for the game ahead of launch. Thanks, IGN. Hi. I will absolutely go here. I enjoy their Twitter. Let me see here. This was written back in 2019. Yeah, that's about right. It's supposed to be loot boxes. They did remove the loot boxes eventually. Not a week goes by without us thinking, imagine if we hadn't launched with loot boxes the way we did. You really gotta think through the monetization system. That's what I'm saying. Anyways. Battle Pass. This is more common in your Fortnites or your, I think Apex Legends has it. Or, the Monster Hunter that's free in online that I forget the name of. That's made by Epic. Or, Fall Guys. Fall Guys also has a Battle Pass. There are many games with Battle Passes. What are they? It is a reward system that you get rewards just for playing the game. Usually there is some form of free tier. A lot of mobile otome games do this model as well. You get a free tier where you get some rewards. And then there are sometimes and then there is a paid tier where you get more for bang for your buck. Literal. Mm-hmm. I did see that it's Elder Scrolls Online as the ESO. I don't know what BDO is. Next we have in-game currency. It is what it sounds like. You use your money to get money in the other game. Or in the game itself. And then that in-game currency, you go towards getting what you need. Technically, this is actually what the monetization system of Honkai Star Rail is. But I tend to logically just skip that step because no one uses that currency for anything else except for getting gacha pulls. If you catch my drift. There is no cosmetic thing. There's one cosmetic thing in Honkai Star Rail. We'll get there. And then lastly, and this will come up later, paywall content, which is different from DLC. Paywall content It is already established. Maybe we'll get to the example first before I talk about paywall content, but there's a very, very specific example that I have in my mind. We'll get there. Let's get into actual examples of what I'm talking about. Honkai Star Rail is absolutely a freemium game. It is not fully free to play, except it is. You can play Honkai Star Rail fully free. The story, the rewards, going through the events, getting characters, but money does help. It helps you improve the count. It is not pay to win. You do not pay to access anything. Everything is there in the game for you. Money just helps you get farther. Faster. Their primary system is the gacha system for characters and weapons. But they do an excellent job of not only giving you free characters, and I'm not talking about the first two that you get within like an hour. I'm talking about like you play through the game. Nabiru, hello! Money helps with the waifu collection. Or husbando. If you can't tell, the music in the background, that's actually me having Honkai Star Rail open right now, just to have background music. But yeah, no, it's primarily husbando for me. But welcome, Nabiru. Just to catch you up to speed, we are having a discussion on the primary topic in like this multi-part series is how in the world is Honkai Star Rail a free game? But to establish like what a free game is compared to other games, there's a baseline. Rambling. I am rambling a little bit. But I'm excited because like I've been working on this document all day and I want to talk about it with people. And I am probably like immediately after I'm done with this stream, am going to upload this as a VOD because I want to hear more. I want to know what people think. Yeah? Because it's an interesting topic. Just saw my chat refresh. So Honkai Star Rail, you can play the entire game for free. There is a gacha system. You do not need to utilize the gacha system to be able to get free characters. You get free characters through just playing the game. You also don't even need to use money to get the resources to pull on the gacha system. You know what? I'm actually going to switch to my Honkai Star Rail account right now to show you something. To show you something neat. If it opens. There we go. Okay. Let me show you something. This is the gacha system. There are two limited character banners, 2 limited weapon banners, and a standard banner. Yeah? Yeah. So, while I'm not free to play, I go more into this later. I'm not free to play. I purchase 2 things per month. One every 1.5 months. I purchase this monthly pass. And I purchase the battle pass. And I did calculate it. And it's about $16 per month if you really boil down to it. And that's not a lot. Where am I going with this? The last character that I pulled for was Mr. Aventurine here. No, I did not pull for him on stream. Meet Aventurine. He's very nice. No, we don't need that. And let me show you. Right over here. If it loads. There we go. So, there he is. Aventurine. April 17th. And then there was 4 more polls that were part of that 10 poll. Yeah? The maximum amount of polls you need to get a character is like 180. And I forget if I lucked out or if I failed the 50-50 ones. It doesn't matter. When the banner, and if you see up here, since it's been a month, it's been near exact a month since I pulled for Adventuring. I had near to 0 tickets, I think, at that time. I now have 126. That is exclusively from just the monthly, the battle pass, and just exploring the world. A lot of this is just from exploring the world. This reminds me of my favorite gacha game. It is. Oh, gacha games are about the same. True. My point is, while my experience with the game is not completely free to play, at least for this account, if you plan wisely enough, you can get exactly what you want. All the time. And that money I spend has absolutely nothing to do with experiencing the story or utilizing any of the mechanics of the game. It's just the collector system. So even if I'm not paid for anything, I'd be coasting. I did kind of touch on everything. So gacha system is their main monetization system. There's a monthly system. There's a battle pass system where minimum is $10 for it. I tend to go for the more expensive one because exclusive cosmetics. Currently only playing 2 app games. Both give plenty of freebies, waifus, and husbandos. Exactly. That's another thing about the gacha games. The free-to-play gacha games is that they give a lot of freebies. And that's good. Now, where things start to get dicey is when you start delving into the full-on monetization system of Honkai Star Rail. Which you, disclosure, do not need to do. I don't. I might have done this particular system like once or twice in Genshin Impact, which is a very similar system. Same company. But their in-game currency. We can actually switch back and look at this. Their full monetization system is as follows. You use money to purchase currency. You turn this currency into important currency to pull on banners, because this currency turns into this currency. Yeah? It's a little tiny bit of nonsense. And I've already done the math on this. Yeah, this one is pretty nice too. Now I've already done the math on all this, so I don't have to do it verbatim. So, what are these hearts? Oh. So, I did the math. The gems are 1-for-1 ratio. If you buy the $100 one, you get 6,480. An additional 6,480 if it's their first time buying that particular version of the thing. And this occasionally resets. It's like reset once in its career. And 6,480 resources equal 40 pulls on a banner. It takes a maximum of 180 pulls to get a certain limited character on a banner. I have thankfully never had to go that far, and I also have never had to do this particular monetization system. But for guaranteed of getting one copy of a limited character, the maximum amount that one would have to spend is like $444. Maximum. That's ridiculous. I hate that. That's why I don't indulge in this particular system. But I don't have to. And this is where I go into my personal thoughts about my account. And, you know, this is also probably the biggest gripe of the game, is this. Or spend year plus saving up gems. I don't have to do that. I don't have to spend an entire year. Like I just showed. I have 126 tickets in game right now. Solely based on the monthly, the like $20 battle pass, and playing the game. Exclusively. They do also give you, every month, beginning of the month, they reset this particular store where you get 5 tickets. And every patch, they give you 10 tickets. The game is very forgiving. There's like almost no, like if you're just playing the game to play the game and you don't want to completionist everything, because the more copies of a character you get, the more powerful they get with Eidolons. You don't need to do that. It's not necessary. It's, oh, this phrase is, they have this phrase in Yu-Gi-Oh! For not money-wise, but, in Magic the Gathering. In a card game. By the time a card that's really powerful will be able to be executed, it might already be just a pay to win more. Sorry, a play to win more, I should say. You pay to win more. You don't pay to win at all. Because everything is already playable. Anyways. And I do actually have a free-to-play account that I don't use very much these days because my hyper-focus has been on my main account for like months now. But this was an experiment I did. And you can absolutely play the game free-to-play and just budget yourself wisely in regards to where you're sending your resources, what the best characters are. And see, this is just me defining. It is freemium. It is free to play fully, but it has paid systems that are overall good, except for this one. Continuing on, comparing it other games and their monetization systems. Final Fantasy XIV. I hope that perks up the Final Fantasy XIV players in the audience. Mayhap. So, I would call Final Fantasy XIV Classic plus DLC plus subscription, aka it's a classic MMO model. I'm also thinking about World of Warcraft when I'm thinking about this particular model. DLCs, in this case, are called expansions. And it adds more game, it adds more hours, it adds more mechanics, it adds more classes, it adds more everything. And it allows you to access whatever they're going to add to the game for the next, like, couple years. But what Final Fantasy XIV also does, and this is on sale right now, in, when this video goes live on YouTube, because I'm going to upload this to YouTube later, Final Fantasy XIV, the complete edition that includes all the way up to Endwalker, is currently $23.99. And that's over 50% off to get that in preparation for Dawntrail. Even if you wait to pre-order Dawntrail, you get that, you have everything. And that's nothing. $23.99 is the price. Let's go down and like skip around a bit. That is cheaper than Hades right now, which was also just on sale, but $24.99 by base. We'll get back to that. That's insane. But then, of course, it's like that because when you go to pre-order Dawntrail, the pre-order for Dawntrail, to get it early, to have it as part of your account as early as possible, is $39.99. So in combination, that's $63. That is slightly cheaper than Monster Hunter World Iceborne, Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, and Cyberpunk 2077. I don't know what 2077's DLC costs. But I was looking at Steam for all that math. That's all damn math. So the price of Final Fantasy, this is not regarding the subscription at all. This is just the classic and the quote-unquote DLC expansion. Is about the same as big top-end games that are existing. Okay? Okay. But on top of that, it does have a subscription fee of $14.99. This is just a natural course of the MMO model, it being connected to servers, and allowing you to go around and make more than one character, but also access so much content, play with friends, play with not friends, etc., etc., etc. On top of that, though, did you know that Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial? Damon, where's the copy pasta? I need it. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, for real. There's a free trial that gets you the base game and 2 of the expansions. Ugh, one moment. Thank you. There's no... And you don't pay for anything. You don't even pay for a subscription when you're on the free trial. You just have it. It exists. You can play it for however long you want. No ifs, ands, buts about it. You're just vibing. You're very limited in certain things you can do. Like, you can't hop to different servers. You're stuck where you are. You cannot friend people, but others can friend you. Oh, thank you, Nabiru. You're faster somehow. Oh, no, actually, it's updated, Nabiru. Yours is outdated. Did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and the award... Oh, thank you, there's Damon's. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV? With an expanded free trial, which you can play through the entirety of Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and Stormblood expansions up to level 70 for free with no restrictions on playtime. Sign up now and join Eorza today. That's why I found it funnier to do the outdated one. And we'll get into, like, how much time that is to play all of that as well later. But... yeah, no, the free trial is fantastic. And the game also does have microtransactions. I forgot to talk about that a little bit more, but just microtransactions for cosmetics, basically, exist. For emotes, for outfits, for mounts. They exist. It is a natural norm in games. I'm not doing that. We already talked about Monster Hunter World's pricing quite a bit, so I TLDR'd it here, but one-time purchase of the game and one-time purchase of the paid DLC to get double the content amounts to about $65. And then there is also paid DLC for cosmetics that exists in Monster Hunter World. And that is just a basic norm, especially since, like, Monster Hunter World is not an MMO, per se, but it is multiplayer. And you do want to show off to friends with that type of thing. And that tends to be the common occurrence of, like, why you would have a paid cosmetic. Bans Nabiru for the ooh BS, not real. Alright, here we go. This is what I was talking about. Does anyone remember this game? Do you guys know that it still exists and gets updates? Wizard 101. I just realized no one can read what chat is saying on the side there. I probably should fix that. I'm sorry, chat. I don't really think about that. Background color. How do I change the text color? Oh, there it is. Yes, yeah, I see the ad on some animes. I kid you not, I had a call about it while I was working tech support. Ha! Oh, it's funny. But yes, Wizard 101, I am talking about that, because I played it for like an iota of a second until I got annoyed by it. And I would say this is the key example of freemium to me, personally. Like, sure, you can call gacha games freemium, but this is freemium. It isn't, as you know, it is an MMO. It's more skewed towards children, which is why it starts at being free to play, you know? But you can't get very far. And I even say it compared to Honkai Star Rail, where you can get to all relevant main parts of the story in the game for free. With Wizard 101, you're required to pay to progress. And you can do this in two ways. You can either get in-game currency to access things, but you can't access everything that way. Or you get a monthly subscription, much in the same way as MMOs in general. And this is a web browser-based game too, if I remember correctly. We'll get more into playtime and why that matters for this specifically, because I did research for this. But the free-to-play experience for Wizard 101, meh. Oh, I do also mention here, there is a cheaper asterisk way to play Wizard 101. If you are a parent and you have children that play Wizard 101, you can actually get a family plan that you have two accounts minimum that are $6.99 a piece, so like $13, $13.98 in total. It's about the same amount as one account, but you as the parent have control over like what your children are doing with it. It's kind of sad to think that you can play the entire game for free part is something needs to be said about a game. Exactly! In general, that's like, it's an interesting thing to be said, and it's kind of like the way games are going to have to go, honestly. Because, like, with the state of how the game industry is right now, well, it's one of the ways that the game industry is going to have to go towards. The free-to-play games that are free on your phone with a massive story that you're able to, or phone or computer, that you can play for the entirety of, are competitive with AAA games. We'll get more into that. We're going to continue on. Now, I couldn't do a game design commentation if I didn't talk about the game that I literally worked on, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. And it's actually a really good example of the DLC format. On top of, you know, Monster Hunter is also a good example. So, you have the one, this is, you know, history lesson. Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. It is created by Obsidian Entertainment. I used to work for them as a game tester on this game. Historically, this studio, backwards in time, used to be BlackRock Studio, until that got bought by Bethesda. And then eventually people that were part of BlackRock that didn't want to deal with Bethesda made their own company, Obsidian Entertainment. And if you know anything about BlackRock Studios, you'll know that they are kind of the originators of Fallout. And they've made a number of the Baldur's games. Todd Howard, fuck you. So a lot of... And actually, Obsidian ended up working on a couple of, like, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale games as well. They also made Stick of Truth. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, why does this have to do with anything? Because we're going to end up talking about Baldur's Gate 3 in comparison. Pillars of Eternity 2 plays like the Baldur's Gate series, not 3, but plays like the Baldur's Gate series in general. You're running around a map, 3/4. You're going through adventures. There are choices. There's romance. There's nonsense. There's blah. Base game. It used to be $49.99. It is $39.99 on Steam. There are 3 paid DLC that are $9.99 each, or you just buy the completed edition. For $59.99 you get cosmetics on top. Unless you're buying the game for Xbox One or PS4, in which case it's $59.99, period. Comparing that to all the other games we've discussed so far, the entirety of Monster Hunter World plus Iceborne is 60-something. And Final Fantasy XIV is also upwards 60-something. So this is par for the course. And then previously, you should not do this. This is still something that's on their Steam page and needs to get removed. But when the game was released, the DLC was obviously not accessible yet. So an option that they decided to do is have a discounted price for getting all 3 DLCs in the future at $24.99. Smart at the time, they need to remove it from Steam. Future will be pay 20 cents to show the start button, 20 cents to load this, load that, no one will notice. Oh, that's going to ruin the experience, though. So, the other way they handled DLC that I quite like, because Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire is exclusively single player, compared to Baldur's Gate 3, which got multiplayer facets. The cosmetics for Pillars of Eternity 2 are free. It's just more hats, more hair, voice packs from the Vox Machina crew, because they all worked on this game. Excellent. Good. And yes, I did get this for free. Duh, I worked on it. But, this is still an excellent model. I would say this is like the core model that should be bounced off of, in a way. And it kind of already is. Continuing on, because, let me see. No, I'm good. I still have, like, a little less than 2 hours. Baldur's Gate 3, I didn't delve much into because I personally haven't played it myself. But it is $59.99 base value. And there is a mostly cosmetic DLC that is $9.99. I say mostly because I think I mentioned, like, and it's because Larian made Divinity as well. So there are Divinity-inspired items for Baldur's Gate 3 that are part of this DLC. I don't know if they've announced... I don't think they've announced DLC for Baldur's Gate 3. Otherwise. But that exists. Base game already. It's got so much. And we'll get into that. Continuing. Oh, and as for the model for these... Sorry, I forgot about that. Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire and Baldur's Gate 3 are both classic plus DLC, whereas, you know, Pillars is more the traditional classic plus DLC for paid content that extends the game, whereas Baldur's Gate is classic plus paid cosmetic. Hades. I had to think about this. Doom Eternal might be the other one, but I'm not sure. But Hades is one of the very few. The only DLC. It's not even. I don't even call it DLC. It's just buying the soundtrack. Hades is one of the very few modern classic games that exist. So I'm waiting for a rebuttal, but yeah, no, it's $24.99, and that's the entire game. That's yours. You have it now. You play it infinitely. There's nothing else that is necessary for it. I think there's like buying a physical edition that you can do that might be worth a little bit more because it comes with more stuff, but that's it. It's a perfect example of modern classic. We're almost done with this section, I swear. The next section will hopefully be faster. Monster Prom. I decided last minute that I needed something that wasn't like giant story-driven nonsense. So Monster Prom. It is technically classic plus DLC because they added the second term later on that included more dateable characters and more scenarios. We'll get more into that later. But base game, $11.99, but you can get the And the DLC is $5.99, but you can just buy the entire bundle for $15. Great game. I actually have it myself, not second term, but this game will come more into play into why it differs from the rest of these games in the next section. And then the last game, because I had to pick something that wasn't story-driven, because almost all of these are story-driven, and that's what actually is like near bang for your buck for buying a game most of the time these days. But League of Legends and TFT, because it's the same client, are freemium. You can get a battle pass, and you can buy in-game currency. But all it really gets you is getting more characters quickly and cosmetics. It doesn't support your gameplay in one way, shape, or form. So that's just that. And actually, my personal experience, because I have purchased battle passes from both League of Legends and TFT before, it's really not worth it, honestly. I do kind of have fun with trying to find skins for the characters that I care about, but I don't play League enough to care. Alright. The second part of this topic, because this is important for discussing why are these games priced the way they are and how do they compare to each other, is how much playtime, runtime do you get out of them. A lot of these games, asterisk, you can just play forever. Because a lot of these are MMOs. Or Honkai Star Rail is this live service that's getting updates constantly. And literally, I'm playing it right now just because I want to listen to the music. But there's a lot of there's other examples here of like comparing their runtimes, and I do actually have a TLDR later on, but I do want to delve into more of the facts. Honkai Star Rail right now has about 40 to 50 hours of story gameplay. Main story gameplay. Hi, Sun Eater. How you doing? Oh, nice. Good. We're currently discussing monetization in games and how Honkai Star Rail as a free game compares to modern games. Like, paid games. Modern games. So, Honkai Star Rail, you get 40 to 50... I need water. And someone hit the hydrate button. I'm just gonna do it now. I'm gonna read it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for myself. And another one from Naviru, thank you. I do think this is quite fun though, honestly. I had a stretch, what? 10 months ago, wow. I'm just, you know what, complete all. I'm realizing that, oh, thank you for the head pat, Nabiru. Do you want to know how much of a this is a side tangent. Do you want to know how much of a technological boomer I am? It wasn't until I started modding for someone else that I realized that there was a whole ass moderator view that I can just delete messages on a whim and do my own hydrates and clear out redeems. Oh, no. Sun Eater. I did look up all of that. Every single bit of that. There's a whole website. Thank you. We don't need it. We don't need the head pat multiple times. It goes forever. Thank you for all the redeems. And stretch. Okay. So, Honkai Star Rail, just the main story is like 40 to 50 hours. The newest patch alone 2.2 took me 10 hours. And I've, like, at the beginning of the stream I said this, but some of you weren't here for it. Honkai Star Rail 2.2. I've been rewatching multiple streamers' VODs of their playthrough of 2.2 just because I'm curious and hyperfixated on it because I thought the story was brilliant. And no, we're not doing spoilers on that story here. That is for a different part of this series of videos. But nearly lost my train of thought there. Hang on. I've seen upwards of, I think, 12 hours or more. Like, most streamers did the smart thing that I should have done and did multiple parts for the story into like 2 or 3 parts. But yeah, 10 hours is what I got out of it. But that's just the main story. There is over hours and hours of content. I lost my train of thought on Honkai Star Rail. Exactly. But no, like, I even have it calculated here. This sentence here. It's not even fully calculated. But I've played Honkai Star Rail every single day. Even when I went to England and wasn't on my computer, I played it for a little bit on my iPad just so that I could get my dailies and be good with it. Right? So if you give or take, like, an hour per day, give or take, because some were shorter than others, I have clocked in at over 300 hours in this game already. Probably more. With how much I've done. That's crazy. I do that when I do Genshin events. Wait until all the event is able, then I do all of it in one stream. That's the events, though. I'm talking about the story, like the main story. The, like, 2.2 story. I need to play more? I mean, I'm... Music in the background's from the game. I am playing. So remember these numbers. They'll pop up later, but 40 to 50 hours just for the story, and 300 hours of gameplay. Want to pop in and say hi before EP? Alright, good night, Sun Eater. Final Fantasy 14. We're gonna get into the MMOs and like the long-term games before I go into short-term games. Final Fantasy 14, live service MMO. You can... The story alone is hundreds of hours. The free trial alone is hundreds of hours. If not a little bit under 200. And it has so many different systems to it. Oh, Sufalahoon! Thank you for the hydrate. But Final Fantasy XIV has so many different systems to it that you can literally play it infinitely and get infinite hours. So it really stems on your personal play experience. I don't know if there's a way for me to look at my own playtime. I think there is, but I'm not going to do it right now. But you can do a lot in Final Fantasy XIV without it being story related. Monster Hunter World Iceborne. This was established before, but this was the combined story minimum. It is 84 hours worth of play. But infinite more, again, similar to Final Fantasy XIV, where you're getting all the weapons, you're playing with your friends, you're going through the event quests, you could also make a new character and do challenging playthroughs. Like, I've seen someone do a playthrough of Monster Hunter where, like, I've wrote it down here. Legitimately, this is on YouTube. You can go find it. Someone decided to try to min-max as much as possible to, from start of the game to end of the game, never take damage. Now, obviously, yes, they did. The, like, caveats were, you know, the moment he took damage, he left the quest. And he improved on everything in regarding gear and also in regarding how he played against the monster to try to get through every single battle without taking damage. Crazy. Now, Wizard 101. I actually didn't write this down here because I looked it up later, but the Wizard 101, if you have a membership, it seemingly is about 150 to 230 hours worth of content, but of course it's also an MMO and it has MMO traits. However, the free-to-play experience, where you only do the free-to-play experience, is only about 4 hours worth of content. And that's insane. That's the free-to-play. The freemium experience. Emphasis on the freemium. Pillars of Eternity 2. Get into that too. 42. We are going away from MMOs now. Pillars of Eternity 2. Base game. Just doing like one playthrough is 42 hours. 64 with the DLC. But Pillars of Eternity 2, similar to Baldur's Gate 3, you can make different saves for different characters to try out different builds. But not only that, Pillars of Eternity 2 has a system where like you change your entire backstory that'll affect how the characters play in the long run. And interact with you in the long run. So there's like, again, this one has a high replayability value if you want to get more experience out of it. It also has 2 different play modes. So Pillars of Eternity, like, base is 42, 64. Like, less hours than Monster Hunter World Iceborne just by default, but you can still play it for longer. Baldur's Gate 3, I have not played it myself, like I've mentioned, but 65 hours worth of play is what people guesstimate for, like, just bare minimum. And that, again, similar to Pillars, you can do multiple saves, you can build your character multiple ways, you can go down different romance paths with different characters, you can experience the game differently. You could try to be completely pacifist, which I don't think is possible, but okay. I might do that. I might make a character. If I ever play Baldur's Gate 3, my character will be pacifist. No one else. Hades. Also, compared to everything else, it's 23 hours to get to the credits. But there's so much more gameplay in Hades. 95 plus hours worth of content. Monster Prom, as our like little tee-hee ha-ha comparison. Gameplay wise, it's only 1 hour to play the game. Because it's just a fun, quirky, little fast dating sim. Its whole point is to be replayable though. And according to the site that I was using for clocked in playtime, 130 hours to completionist it, to get all the routes, to get all the endings for those routes. And I have no idea if this includes second term or not. So it might be more than this. And that game is only $15. And then finally League of Legends and TFT, because again, I needed something that wasn't so story driven. Another thing where it is not story driven, so it does not have a long narrative. The actual gameplay only takes like an hour maybe for both things, but there's high replayability for climbing the ladder and that kind of thing. It is a different animal of a game, but it's important in this discussion because it's free. Meme. And now this is the last bit. And then I'm going to open the floodgates for more discussion, of course. But this is the TLDR. This is me consolidating the price to play game versus how much game you get, how much time you get with game For Honkai Star Rail, like I said, you could play this game entirely, fully free. You could spend not a dime on this game. And there's 40 to 50 hours of just the story. And, like, if you play it every single day for at least an hour, in a year, that's 300 hours of you improving the game. Again, me personally, I'm not free to play with my account of Honkai Star Rail. But I do just the monthly and the battle pass. I do not spend money to pull on the banner. But otherwise, the gameplay, the story, entirely free to play. Final Fantasy XIV. There is a free trial. And that alone gets you 200 hours that you can play forever. If you add $23.99, as of me typing this, as of me uploading this to YouTube, which is May 15th, 2024, Final Fantasy XIV's Complete Edition with Endwalker is $23.99. And that adds an additional 200 hours of story and more features, aka all the current features. All. And then the next expansion coming out, the end of June, beginning of July, is $39.99 on top of that, which makes Final Fantasy XIV in total for everything at the moment $65, they said. Something like that. No, less than that. $62. And that'll very likely be 100 plus more hours of content and features. Story and features and content and blah and all the expletives. But over the course of the next few years. It's not going to be like all in one go. Monster Hunter World Iceborne. $66, 84 hours story, plus infinite more gameplay. Wizard 101. For free, you get maybe 4 hours. With the membership, anywhere between 150 to 230 hours of content. Pillars of Eternity 2. $60 for everything. 65 plus hours of main content, but it has replayability and multiple saves. Hades. $24.99 for everything. There's no DLC. 23 hours to get to the credits, but like 95 plus hours of content. Monster Prom. $17.98, including second term, is like the max price. You can just spend $15.28. One play session is an hour, but it is infinitely replayable. It also has multiplayer, which is a big thing. And can get to upwards of 130 hours. And then League of Legends is straight up free to play, 1 hour play, replayability exists, but there's no... For me, there's not a completionist tendency, it is a ladder climbing tendency. That's not true. The completionist tendency is getting all the skins and the characters. That would be the money. Looking at this data, and actually there's an important thing that I need to show you guys. Not the Final Fantasy XIV one. There we go. So, this is the website that I was using for all my data, and yes, I could have just shown you it through here, but I like my little document. But I didn't include Genshin, but I'm including it now as just kind of a comparison of where Honkai Star Rail is going to end up going. Genshin Impact's been around since 2020. That was 4 years ago. And the main story itself has 59 hours of content, currently. Any sort of extra bits of story content, side quests, etc., 218 hours of content. Completing everything possible, people are clocking in at 657 hours. That is the direction that Honkai Star Rail is going. It is already between 40 to 50 hours in just story, and it's likely going to surpass Genshin Impact in the next few patches. Like, then definitely the next major patch. There'll probably be neck and neck at some point. Genshin does get a leg up because it is open world and it has like infinite exploratory aspects. But that is what it is. It is free to play. It's already got like 50 hours worth of content. Comparing that with Hades default is 23 hours. Max maybe 95 plus. It's already like half of the playtime of Hades, and that's $25. Baldur's Gate, bare minimum, if you're not doing ultra completionist things, it's almost caught up to Baldur's Gate 3. It is well within the numbers of Pillars of Eternity 2. And it's possibly just about halfway to Monster Hunter World, Iceborne's story. It's never gonna reach Final Fantasy XIV. I'll just say that right there. But that's the big thing. This amount of hours of just story compares and likely will exceed a bunch of these paid games within the next few years. So how in the world is Honkai Star Rail a free game? The why of it is not obviously a fully free game because of its gacha system, but no game is fully free. That's not true. No game is without some form of monetization system. Sometimes that's not out of your pocket, I should say. Because the monetization system that exists for a lot of free-to-play games is ads and such, and that has nothing to do with you and you forking over money. But we'll get more into spoiler-heavy territory. I'm going to make this a weekly thing, I think. I'm going to work on the next part more intensively. I'm going to make sure that I'm a little bit more consolidated in my thoughts. I think I was doing pretty good this time about. Yeah. And I'm going to upload this to YouTube. To the YouTubers. I would love to hear your comments on the topic. I know I do a lot of rambling and I do a lot of chatting with my chat. If you want to see what I've got going on live, I don't really have a schedule, my apologies, but I do have a Twitch. It is HattyDragoVT it's twitch.tv/HattyDragoVT. And if you want to catch me on Twitter, it is just HattyDrago, @HattyDrago. I'm the only one. And I do have a Discord if you would like to further the discussion. I'll have that link in the description below for the invite. And as always, thank you so much. We're going to continue this discussion if anyone has anything to say. If not, I'm going to end the video. Nabiru, are you alive? Are you here? You are here. Gib thoughts. Oh, Damon left. The moderator view is so powerful. I can see all of you now. Thank you for head pats. Yay! We are finito with the topic. But yeah, basically the TLDR of this whole thing is that, like, Honkai Star Rail is already catching up story content to a lot of like the top paid games minimum content. You know? It's a big thing. It was fun listening to me. Thank you! I want to do these more often because like it plays off of what I think is my niche, because you weren't here when I was discussing that part. I've been meaning to, for a while, and this is a big thing in the VTuber space, is that I need to find my niche, or else I'm going to get buried. So I think my niche, honestly, is my game design know-how. that does include D&D, and we'll get back to D&D on Tuesday. We'll have a new session. I'm using a new map system. I would show you, but I don't want to spoil anyone later that might see the... Well, actually, I could just edit it out. I don't feel like editing it out. But yeah. D&D fun. Yeah. I actually, oh, because none of them are here. Damon's not here. I'm gonna edit this out. Haha. So, Nabaru. I made a... Oh, Silvahan! It's actually a nice topic and fun to listen to. Keep it coming. Oh, thank you! Thank you, Silvahan. Thank you. Have I tried out Foundry? I want to say, is that the miniature making one? I want to say no, that's Hero Forge. But no, the one that I use now, I'll show the website at least. It's called Bag of Mapping. It's really good. It's really good. It's actually designed by only like one guy who is a UX designer. It's a field maker for Pathfinder and other games. Ooh, nice. This one too. And then this whole thing, you know, you can play it for free. Unlimited maps, unlimited games, no account required. All well and good. I am using the premium version because I talked with... The whole reason I know about this is that I talked with the game developer and helped test it out a little bit. See if there were any bugs, shorts and such like that. But I have... it's not a code that I'm giving out for free. It's a code that I'm using for myself and everyone in my party for the campaign that I run here on the channel. So I hope to be the first content creator that's showing this off, because I am the first content creator that's showing this off. But yeah. But you know, I'll definitely do another part. I don't know if I'm going to make this 2-part or 3-part. But next week, because the main point of this discussion, because it's my hyperfixation currently. Bookmarked? Thank you. Yes, it's very good. The main point of this discussion was Honkai Star Rail, because I'm overly hyperfixated on it, but I do think it's very impressive of a game. And the next point of discussion that I want to go through is after I kind of finish reacting to as many streamers as possible playing through the 2.2 story and kind of absorbing all of their reactions to it and making something about that. Because there's a lot to talk about with the 2.2 story for Honkai Star Rail in regards to that. And how it's another question of, how is this game free where it's able to pull out such a fundamentally amazing story? Where, you know, it does have, I think, one flaw to it, but we'll get into that later. That'll be part 2. I know a primary part of it will be music, because the music is on... It's the music you're hearing in the background is actually just from Honkai Star Rail. It's very good. And if you know, you know. And if you know, it's spoiler, so you don't say it. But we will next week, because by then it's been 2 weeks since the patch came out, so I don't mind talking about it next week. Because it has waifus as bonds, so any errors are quick to fix while players are distracted. Not entirely super quick to fix. There's actually, and this is an interesting facet of it that I'll probably get into again next week. There was actually an audio glitch with one of the characters in 2.2 where their English voice wasn't coming through. And for me, it was unfortunate for me because it's one of the husbando characters, and I like to hear him talk because he's very fancy and eloquent. But I feel like including myself, everyone that I've seen react to that weren't entirely put off by it. They were like, you know, just a little bit disappointed. I think the strongest bit of disappointment was from Molly Zhang, who voices Seely in Star Rail. Let me tell you that, like, she is probably one of the best to watch if you want more insight into voice acting, because I think she can hear everyone and she gets obsessed with particular voice acting portrayals. And I love that for her. But she was just kind of disappointed because she, like, the performance of the character, their voice is so good. So, at some point, when that glitch is fixed, I can't wait to actually hear it. You know? That reminds me, that is one of the downsides of Honkai Star Rail, is there's no way to repeat cutscenes, but I have to wonder how much data that would take. Other things are pretty easy to fix, like mechanically, but they don't really change stats around. I'm getting fairly off topic, so I think I'm going to end stream here. How many people do we have right now? We have 5. That's a decent chunk. So I'm going to go ahead and pick someone to raid into. Who do I have? Abba, Apollo. It'd be great if I actually find someone that's playing Honkai Star Rail, because that would be fit. Oh! We're gonna raid into a friend. We're gonna raid into a friend. Yay! I love friend. Okay, mute tab. There he is. How long has he been streaming though? 2 hours? And he's making artwork? Alright, yeah, we're gonna raid into this one. Yeah, thank you, and thank you for joining me. This VOD will obviously be here on Twitch for however long, but I do plan, as much as usually I'm lazy about uploading VODs onto YouTube, this one I want to go onto YouTube. Because I want more discussion about this, and I think it's an interesting topic. Alright. We're gonna go ahead and raid. He is a big fan of the Baldur's Gate 3, and a big reason why I say it has such a high replayability is Mitsuko. He's also a very good artist. Almost too good. His Twitter, I forewarn you, is not completely safe for work, but it's very nice. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me. If you are going about the rest of your day, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. But if you are heading to sleep at any point in time soon, I hope you have pleasant dreams that you feed me so that I can come up with more ideas of what game discussions to have. Bye-bye!